Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. This is a Math 081 video that teaches you how to subtract signed numbers. So a lot of the ways that I see my students doing subtraction of integers, meaning that they could be plus or minus, right? They could be positive or negative, is using this keep, change thing. Now, I want to warn you guys, I've seen this misused as much, possibly more often, than I've seen it used correctly. So I will encourage you to use this if it works for you. If you understand how to use it correctly, that's great. But I really would like to give you a stronger and more robust understanding of what we're really doing and why we're doing it when we subtract signed numbers. Okay? To me, what I've had more success with when I teach this is this concept down here. I know it's in a small font, but I always tell my students, I would say it a million times till it got lodged in their brain forever, that minus a negative is the same as plus a positive. And in my math career, as I've been teaching students, that tends to stick and be misapplied less often than the keep, change thing, okay? So again, minus a negative is the same as plus a positive. So let's explore that idea a little bit more thoroughly, okay? One way I like to think of it, as you can see, I typed it out here. It says, think of it as taking away a debt, okay? Let's pretend that you have a $150 mortgage, right? If you don't know, if you're a young whippersnapper and you've never owned a house before, never had to make mortgage payments, that's just basically a huge debt. Most human beings on this planet cannot afford to just pay cash for real estate. Most of us have to take out, 30-year loans and pay our mortgage, okay? So if I were to just pay your mortgage off, right, $150,000, that was a debt that you owed. If I subtract that debt from you, if I take away that debt, I've literally just given you $150,000, right? That's huge, okay? So to me, that's the easiest, most practical way of understanding subtracting a negative. I've taken away something that was a burden to you. I've given you a gift, okay? So anytime I see a subtraction, I can change it to adding the opposite number. So let's practice that here, okay? So I have -2 minus 1. Now I want to remind you that you can use any of those methods that I taught you in the last video. So one of the methods that we talked about was the SSSDDD method, where you think about whether the numbers are the same or different. We also talked about the number line method. And in our videos, we talked about looking about money and figuring out, this would be like if I borrow $2 and then I borrow $1 more, right? How much do I have or how much do I owe, okay? And then you can also use the signed chips method for this problem, okay? So don't throw out all of the methods that we've learned in our past lectures or videos. You can still use all of those methods. They are still valid, okay? As I look over these 4 problems, though, there are some different things that I see here that I've never seen or that I hadn't seen in the last part of this section. And the things that look different to me, I don't know about you, but the things that look different to me are having 2 negative signs right next to each other with just parentheses in between and not actually having any numbers in between. Okay, so that is where these last 2 problems are where we really need to worry about either doing the keep. So the keep, change thing means I keep this guy, and then I change this one and change this one. Same thing here, I would keep this one, change it, and change it. Or, again, I've seen that misapplied or applied to the wrong situation so many times, I sort of don't teach it that way. The other way to think about it, again, is minus a negative. If you have 2 negative signs with no number in between them, then you just change it to plus a positive. Okay, and remember that example I gave you at the very beginning when I was talking about your mortgage, right? If you owe $150,000 on your house and I pay it off for you, I've given you that money. If you owe $5,000 on a car payment and I pay your car off for you, so now you don't owe anything, I take away your debt, I subtract your debt, I've literally given you that money. Now, granted, I didn't give you much of a choice. I didn't let you choose how you were going to use that money, right? But I've still increased your overall net worth, as it were. Okay, so I know it's kind of backwards, but let's just start with these 2. okay? So now this becomes negative 5 plus 7, okay? And again, you can use any of those 4 methods. You can use your sign chip method, the number line, and whatever, the other 2. You can use any of those to then proceed, okay? So this is going to give us positive 2, and then here we have 9 plus 3, which is equal to 12, okay? For these first 2 problems, we don't have 2 negatives right next to each other without a number in between. So again, you're really free to use any of those 4 methods that we talked about in the previous videos. You can also, if you choose, rewrite this. You can do the keep, change thing. And you can think of this as negative 2 plus negative 1. Again, you don't have to. It's just another way to think about the same thing. And then here we have 3 minus 5. So we could rewrite that as 3 plus negative 5. And that would give us negative 2. Okay? So again, the only thing that I'm trying to add here, the only thing that's new and different from the previous videos that I've already posted, are when you have 2 negative signs right next to each other. So please don't please don't forget the things that you've already learned about adding or subtracting sign numbers. Alright, I'm going to stop this video here, and I'm going to post then a second video that goes through some of these practice problems that you see here.